What is up, and welcome to Into the Smoke, North America's premier destination for all the Counter-Strike news. Today I have my beautiful co-host, P. Hollywood and D. Taddy. What's up, gentlemen?
Hello.
Great weekend of Counter-Strike. Back to report for some news.
You broke 20K, and then travesty happened.
Yeah, and then I demoted. I'm back, though, now.
Okay, that's good. A little up, down, back and forth.
Back and forth.
Pat, you're well on your way to 20K as well? Yep.
No, I'm just kind of floating around at 50% win rate. I just kind of win a couple, lose a couple, win a couple, lose a couple. So I'm kind of just going nowhere at the moment.
And I actually crossed 50% when I got to 20K. I was like sitting in the 40s for the entire season, and I crossed to 50 as I got 20K.
Hey, don't worry. I started playing with you guys again, and I went below 60% win rate. So it is what it is. Trash. Tragedy.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Just say it.
I don't know. What does it mean? I don't know.
Maybe I just need a not queue.
Solo queue artist. Okay. I like that.
Maybe. Could be. So first things first, we're going to hop in to Blast, sending out some positive vibes. I like what they did here. I think Monacy is the one who posted this onto Telegram. It's a cool little post from, they send these like players and teams, these little write-ups as you see here on the left. It's basically just like a nice little message that says, hey, Falcons, we know things haven't been going your way, recently, but you could improve it here. This could be your event. Wishing you the best. I think this is a cool little sentiment they're doing to the teams. I think those are personal things, so I'm glad the teams get to see them and the public doesn't necessarily need to. But I'm nosy. I'd like to know what to say. Because I'm curious if they're just, to certain teams being like, this ain't it.
Yeah, I'm gatekeeping mine because this is a roast. This is on borderline roasting, but I think it's a good thing. It's like the note says. It's like you have no problem getting to the final. It's just about the last step. So I'm excited to see them back. I'm excited to see Vitality back as we enter into Rotterdam. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. It's wholehearted, with a little bit of joking in there, I'm sure, with all those, with like that one being so close to winning. I'm sure some of the other teams probably have some little things like that as well. I mean, it's just all in good spirits for them to pick them up. And I'm glad to see Falcons and Vitality back. They were sorely missed at this last tournament.
Sorely missed.
Yeah, most people don't want to see Vitality win all the time. I'm not most people, so.
Well, I think last event showed us that that's probably going to be the case for a little bit.
Maybe. They might not play that horribly the whole time.
I do think with these, though, because they are a little bit on, like, the playful fun side, too, is, like, I could see Apex, like, cornering the person who wrote this, being like, whoa, you're talking crap? What is this? What's going on? What's going on? But so I think it's cool. I mean, I like the little things that seeing the TOs do that kind of try to make the experiences a little bit better for the players, because I'm certain that, outside of Team Vitality, most of these events are probably somewhat stressful. They're probably a little bit on edge.
Yeah.
So just feeling like, hey, the TO's thinking about us. They at least, understand where we are and what we're about and blah, blah, blah. And like, it just feels more personal instead of like, hey, get here, be there, do this, show up, you suck, okay, leave. Because like some of those exit interview stuff we've seen in the past is like, it gets a little cringe at times.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I mean, that's still what they want you to do. Get in there, get up, play, get out.
See, that's the thing is I actually think
sweet little
they want you to say some crazy stuff because, that at the end of the day gets the clicks and the views and the impressions. And this is one thing where you could assume that they think that no teams are going to post these. So, like, this seems like just a genuine thing that's like, hey, this is a nice thing. Now, we are going to interview after the match when you're most vulnerable state, so you can hopefully say some edgy stuff. Yeah. But, like, here's a nice card to make up for it.
I wish that other teams would post theirs, like you said. Like, I want to see, like, the Liquid and the Faze and the Mouz. I want to see those notes. I want to see what those say.
I don't know what they could put on there for the Faze one, if we're being real.
Dude, that's what we should start. We could get the community to start writing these for them, and we could just pick our best ones and read them to the teams beforehand. Yeah. I think that'd be a beautiful segment of nothing but positivity. So we got Simple coming out talking about money in the space. So this piece got kind of like, I don't know, this insider basically released the salaries, broke them down, said Zywoo's making 100K. We got Simple making 120. Simple's response to this, though, is the 120 was not enough when I negotiated. That's what a lot of the Tier 1 players are making. I wanted more than that. Which leads us to two points, rather. One of them is, it's weird that in Counter-Strike, unlike other big sports, like when you talk about like the Premier League, you know all the money. You know what's happening, what everybody's worth. And that's almost an exciting thing to see a big number transfer and stuff like that. Whereas in Counter-Strike, it's always hearsay. Monacy should be worth this. Kioske might be worth that. The trade was rumored to be this. But it's weird whenever you hear Simple could be making 30 grand a month and you hear Simple could be making 300 grand a month. Or is it 120? And like, you don't really know. It just feels like the scene would be in a better place if we knew those numbers. And the good news is, from based on what Simple's saying here, is that like if a lot of the pros in the tier 1 scene are making 120 plus, that's really good money. So it does. Hey, great. These players are making net more money. Awesome for the scene. But it's just weird that it's kind of shrouded. I'm curious. Do you think that number should begin to be public information, or do you think it's better to be private?
I think 100% it should be public, in my opinion. And then to bounce off of like his tweet right here and what he's saying, I think it's kind of crazy to say 120 is not enough because, but the thing is you don't know what the other players are making. Like totally. He's saying the other players are making that. So if you look at it that way, then yeah, Simple probably is right. Like maybe he should make more than some of these other players because he's like the GOAT of Counter-Strike. But from the numbers that have been released that are hearsay, it's like he is $20,000 up on ZywOo allegedly. So I don't know. I do think it should all be public though, to answer your question.
Yeah. What you got, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be public also. I mean, that seems pretty straightforward. There's no reason to like hide these numbers. I don't know what good it does hiding them, except for maybe you can say like maybe less hate to the player. Like they don't have another rock to throw at them when they have a bad performance. But I mean, I think it just seems probably like it's probably a thing of shame from the orgs. They want to know, like Falcons doesn't want us to know how much they're actually spending for their top players. You know, they want to say what they say it was like 33 to 70K for like Monacy and Nico like a month, and everybody was like, "Nah, I'm not buying that."
Hey, the Falcons have been on a weird Twitter space like PR cleanup thing. I've been getting some weird Twitter wars with those people out there. It's just very odd though because it is all kind of shrouded in like darkness and secrecy. It's almost like you feel like the teams are in a weird spot to where G2 doesn't want people to know that Heavy God only makes 60 because then the Falcons will come along like 60. I'll pay you 160. That's crazy. And it's like, dude, if that's what we're worried about at the top end of the space, like, do we have bigger problems? If the difference in pay is like, you know, if it is ZywOo's making 100 and Simple's making 120, now if ZywOo's making a pay cut so that they can have that star-studded roster, good on them. But if Vitality is obviously winning a lot, they can probably afford to pay a lot. I assume that stake deal is probably worth a lot. ZywOo probably should be paid a lot. Because I also think the rumors are that Donk is only making like 30 to 40K. And if you're telling me Donk is only 30 to 40K, and I'm any team out there paying any player more than 30 to 40K that's not named ZywOo or Monacy maybe, I'm paying. I'm like, double at 60. That's no sweat, whatever. Sign them up. So I think that's probably the fear of the orgs. But it's like, when you get to the Premier League, it's like, when you look at like those big organizations and the NFL and all these other big sports, it's like, dude, those contracts are celebrated. You're proud of the player whenever they sign a crazy deal. Like when United moved Cristiano Ronaldo, like that was a record-breaking transfer and everybody talked about it. And it was like crazy. How much more validation would the scene get if we did talk about that with Kioske? The youngest, most valuable transfer ever is X. It's like there's no negative to hear that.
Yeah, I think that's where, like, on the back end, like, from the structure of the deal-wise is where it comes in with, like, the transfer fee versus wages, too. Because it's like, yeah, Donk might be, you know, making 30 to 40 grand in wages at Spirit. But it's like, okay, if you want to sell him to another team, if you want him before his contract runs out, then you got to pay this fee because he is the best player in the world. Yeah. So you pay the fee like Kioske had to get, allegedly was paid for, like, the $2 million for him. It's like you pay that fee up front. That's not going towards his wages necessarily directly. But I think that's where, like, the difference in the two deals definitely comes in. It's like, Donk actually might end up staying at Spirit because the other teams can't afford his transfer fee type of thing.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, but that's also where it could also become like more nefarious, and it's more of just like
30K, his buyout's 10 million.
Yeah, it's like it's just a numbers game for the orgs and not for the players. Because I mean, we all know a lot of orgs struggle. Esports money is very delicate, and it constantly seems to be going down.
Unless
so
you're
like,
the rogue, they're making out like bandits.
I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, but what are their players making, right? So it all goes to that. Sure. It's like if they're making a ton of money off of the transfer fees and stuff like that, and then paying their players like maybe a little bit above what's the minimum. It's like, I don't know, that seems kind of sketch.
Well, it's also one of those where, again, everything's kind of shrouded in darkness because, like, the TI event in Dota is always cool and celebrated because the numbers were really, really public. And it's like, how much do teams make off sticker sales? We've heard numbers that are like 10 grand. We've heard numbers that are like $1 million a piece. And it's like, well, what is that number actually, right? And I don't think the community, I mean, sure, some communities would be upset if they think the number, if you keep lying and saying the number's $1 million, but it's actually 100 grand, yeah, people are going to be disappointed. But if it's 100 grand and next year is 200 grand, we're getting bigger. Cool, whatever. It's like, it just feels like we're trying to like cover up lies to some degree, and we don't necessarily want it. We want it to be overinflated from the outside, but we now don't want to say the real thing because it's actually not the overinflated thing. And it's like,
yeah,
it's weird. It's weird.
I agree.
Next weird topic we're going to hop into, though, is going to be tier 2 or stage 2 merchants, rather. Okay? What we mean by this is if we pull up this chart real quick, you can see when we have outlook into the next, the VRS standings as they currently sit. If you look here, based on this, we have Vitality and Mouz are safe going into this is the major event, okay? So they're going to be moved on all the way to the end. Vitality and Mouz are safe. Astralis, they're not going to be competing in anything else. So assuming the other teams don't all lose points, they're going to get eliminated and not make it into the final stage, the legend stage or whatever. Now, for the stage 2 portion, right now, you're going to have Aurora, Paravision, Falcons, Spirit, and NAVI. One of them is going to be a stage 2 team, which is crazy. If it were to end today, Falcons, Spirit, and Foot are sitting in your stage 2. Those are absolute monsters in stage 2. Who of these guys do we think are going to move on, and who do we think is going to be drawing the short straw? Because obviously NAVI and Astralis just got a little bit of a run of points. Paravision, having won already this year and made another final, they look pretty good. Spirit and Falcons are looking shaky. Mouz is up there, and they're safe, but boy, do they not feel like they should be safe.
Yeah. I think Falcons makes it in my opinion, for sure. And then I don't know if I think Spirit makes it or not. I think logically they probably should, but the way that they played this weekend kind of has proven me or makes me think that they will not make it just because Aurora looks like they're on an uptick. Astralis, obviously, they're not playing any more events, but they're in a solid spot. Like Spirit has to now apply pressure on them to pass them. And then Paravision, I don't know about them either after getting eliminated stage 1. So honestly, I could see both teams moving up, Spirit and Falcons, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of lost the Paravision hype train along the way. I think it's only downhill for them from here.
Sure.
So I could see them being bumped down to stage 2 and allow for Falcons and Spirit to come up. And maybe NAVI, NAVI, sure they win. Obviously they won. They went on the run here, but if we look back to last year, NAVI, it was always the case of barely making it to bracket play. And if they did make it to bracket play, they were eliminated early. So it's a matter of consistency with them. Astralis, since they're not playing it anymore, I mean, obviously that's an easy one that can probably just be outdone and knocked to stage 2.
Yep.
But I mean, honestly, it's probably best for the majority of the other teams if Spirit and Falcons get out of the stage 2, because you don't want them ruining some stage 1 team's dream of making that comeback just to go up against Donk right out the rip.
For sure. I do personally believe that Falcons or Spirit, one of those two, will be the one that stays in stage 2. And that's mostly because I think the hype from Paravision kind of died. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with they got cold at the end. But it might have been because they were still playing in events between events. They had been grinding it out for a solid year. They weren't taking breaks like Spirit or Take Breaks or Vitality or the other teams. They were running a gauntlet, and they very visibly ran out of gas at the end of that gauntlet. So maybe being rested and recharged now with some time off, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to make a couple deep runs. NAVI, I think, is sitting in a pretty spot. And I think it'd be hard for them just because they do have such a gap. So that just leaves you're going to get probably a Spirit or a Falcons to pass Astralis. And it's probably going to be whoever does better in this next event, which at this point is, in my opinion, anyone's game. Both of them feel like they could be first rounded at this point, and both of them might still have a chance to win it at this point. Yeah. And we don't know which product we're going to see from both of those teams, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. I have a little bit more. I mean, I'm a Falcons fan, but I definitely think that they have looked much better than Spirit, so I have a little bit more faith in them for sure. But
definitely recency bias. That is for certain.
Yeah.
Speaking of recency bias in the complete opposite direction, though, Launders released this video probably 30, 45 minutes before we're recording this. Absolute nothing but pure cinema. I also posted it over on X, but he basically is just calling for Team Liquid to be disbanded. Lots of great reasons. I'm certain if you've watched Counter-Strike over the last, 5 years, you probably know of all of them. But I'm curious, based on this video that we watched earlier today, do we agree with him? Should TL be disbanded?
I mean, sure. I mean, we talked about this either last episode or the episode before that, I can't remember, where we were calling them imposters, frauds, how they basically always just skate by at the bottom and nobody really cares about them. And I mean, this video is basically just a lot better way of saying that, pretty much, that that team is not capable of winning, whether it's the players, whether it's the organization or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, I think for the long run, sure, Team Liquid probably has a better chance by just disbanding their current roster and starting fresh. They probably have a more likely chance of winning than they do with doing a couple little trades, like taking Mouz and getting rid of nerds. You know, because like, what is that going to do? Is that going to make them a top 10 team? I doubt.
I think for me, the biggest thing is it shows to at least the casual fans of like, it almost feels like there's a liquid curse at this point. Like, you look at players like Case Rado who go on, they do great things. You look at players like Suhi who looked incredible before they got there and then look ice cold when they're there. And it's like, me and Davis were talking about this while we were eating lunch today, and it's like, it just feels like there's something wrong there. And maybe it could be as simple as if the players have to worry about whenever they're traveling to trips, like what are the things you have to worry about? How do you make their lives easier? Is that part of the organizational challenges with this group? Is it the fact that they get enough sticker money to get by and they can kind of pay their players and kind of afford it, but it's not like a Cadillac experience. You're not like really enjoying it or really living it up, but it's like, it just feels bad. And like for me, and he highlighted in the video, is like, I agree. I would rather see these players on other teams because I don't think these players are bad. I don't think these players are necessarily, quote, the problem. But it's like, dude, there's a lot of teams that could use a great IGL. Maybe Suhi could be that, and I'd love to see it. There's a lot of players that could use a leash. I mean, he could go to a G2. He could go to a lot of contenders. Probably makes Falcons better and a lot more. And it's like, at this point, I would legitimately rather see these players move on, and maybe it's the players' problems, but I'd be willing to wager it's the orgs at this point.
Yeah. I just wanted to say to Launders, welcome to Into the Smoke crew. Clearly, he's been watching our videos and hearing our praises for the last few weeks, or our hate, yeah, towards Liquid. Actually, not our praises, but clearly he's watched our video, and he wanted to make a video of his as well to talk about how they need to get away.
The worst part is now they've swapped to the America side because since we last recorded, they now have enough American players to be in the American region, kind of a VRS cheese, if you will. But it's like, as an American, it's like, dude, I don't feel good about this.
I also think that was one of my favorite parts of the video is when he goes more in depth on kind of their navigation through VRS right now with switching to Americas and also playing in a few lower level lands to try to like farm VRS points. And then he talks about how when you look at their roster, this is a roster that has the talent on it. Yes, they might not be good right now. He wasn't saying they're good by any means either, but he was like, this is a roster when you look at it, you shouldn't be having to try to farm VRS points in any way, shape, or form that you can by joining local lands. It was like, this is a team that should be able to compete and take down some of these smaller, maybe not your Vitalities and like your Falcons at the top, but they should be able to take teams like Paravision down and like Mouz at times.
3D Max.
Food. Yeah, 3D Max, Faze. Like all these teams, they should be able to at least compete with them. And so they're not even doing that. They're having to go to low-level lands. So I think that was my favorite part of the video.
No, I mean, it's crazy to me, especially when you look at what the pedigree of this organization is, right? Like this organization had Simple at one point. This organization competed during the middle of the Astralis dynasty and was a top-tier team at that. And they have top-tier talent, but it just doesn't feel that way. And again, I'm not saying that it's the organization's fault in the sense of like, you know, they've got toxicity or something bad's happening in the culture there, but it just feels like you need a reset because it doesn't feel good in the current capacity. Maybe you need to go hire somebody that's on like the concierge side of Vitality or poach some other staffing people of like, hey, dude, what are they doing to get their players ready? Is this a coaching thing? Is this a performance thing? Like we heard the G2 guys talk about the Whoop and like how they're using it to help sleep track. Maybe you take some of those guys and be like, dude, what are you guys doing? Why is it working for you? Because it's not working for us.
Yeah.
And like just being transparent about that. Because right now it feels like they're just trying to slide by, keep getting stickers at majors, and that'll be enough. And it's like, you're an imposter. Like you are not. You're faking a tier 1 team.
Yeah.
Like you somehow are there, and we don't understand really how. But like the players look like they should be there. The logo looks like it should be there. But whatever the product is, it's not there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's quite sad. Unfortunately for America, yet again.
I don't know. Sad. I mean, technically they're like one of the best teams in America now. So
that's.
I guess we always joked, we can finally solidify it. They are an American team.
That's true. That is true. Now just FaZe needs to come home, and at this point, we can control the shit show here. It can just be us. Like
I mean, that's the most American thing I've ever heard. So yes, bring it on.
Absolutely. So the next thing we want to hop into is going to be talking about at the event for ESL. There was a lot of fun tweets, if you will. There's a lot of flavorful language, if you will. This right here, a great quote from him. Honestly, I love it. He's referring to the fact that they played their academy team and they beat them. There was a lot of explicit quotes, a lot of funny quotes, and then we also got to see even better tweet than this from Polyopo which is the greatest FaZe stand in the world. His tweet, which I think we have that up if we can show that too. Basically was going in and making fun of some Liquid players, as we were just mentioning. And then the Team Liquid account here basically goes full bore PC. The world is over. You made a really insensitive comment, which if you didn't know, and I'm sorry for the person who is the Team Liquid social media manager, the Counter-Strike community is not PC. Your response is not what they wanted. Actually, probably is what they wanted, but for all of the wrong reasons. So for the whole weekend, we basically got to see a lot of memes about this, for better or worse. I'm curious your thoughts. Obviously, Counter-Strike is I think a PEGI 17 game or something like that in the US. I think it's rated 17 or 18 and up. Do we think this is like, just rip the cuss words, it's crazy, it is what it is, like it's Counter-Strike, you know what you're getting into? Or do we think that maybe the organization should be a little more professional?
I think organization should probably be a little bit more professional. I don't mind the tweet from Liquid. I think Liquid honestly did the right thing by tweeting back something like that, to be honest with you. I think that from a professionalism standpoint and trying to be like a serious thing, I think it makes a lot more sense to keep that stuff out. Obviously, like your people that are basement dwelling playing Counter-Strike games 24/7, they don't care. They're going to cuss and they're going to tweet whatever they want. But at the end of the day, like that's not the people that are going to get you to a professional actual product. So I think that's where I kind of draw the line, is I think it does need to be a little bit more PG, in my opinion, from the actual broadcast and from the organizations within, but you're never going to be able to control the community.
Yeah, I mean, we all know what we get with Counter-Strike. Maybe that's for worse or for better, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the Team Liquid response, that's pretty standard. I mean, I feel like the backlash probably would have been worse if they actually made some joke in reference to Hitler also, because then that probably just shines way worse on them than it does him, because he's just a Twitter stan who just makes his living off of, posting memes and jokes on Twitter or whatever, which is cool and fine. No hate to the hustle, but...
Yeah, and I also really enjoy his tweets usually, too.
Yeah, no, they're usually bangers for sure. But, you don't expect that from the orgs, and you really shouldn't expect it. And, the players in the game, we all love trash talk. We all love that. I mean... That's all traditional. But yeah, I mean, obviously the broadcast and stuff, I mean, they keep it pretty clean, but, they're definitely more lenient than, Riot, for sure. But,
yeah, it's interesting to me. I actually had my in-laws over on Sunday. I was watching the match in our living room while they were just hanging out and talking. And then when the match ended, there's an interview also with Eam, and I forget what he says. He says, it's F something. I don't remember what it was. It was maybe a word of his native language or something like that, but I don't think it was English. But anyway, hard F word, mid-broadcast, just ripped it right during the credits were rolling, but still on main broadcast. And it was my father-in-law was like, is that pretty normal? I was like, oh yeah, that's par for the course. You get, one or two of these a day and the thing, and he's like, that's just crazy. That's such a professional broadcast just to hear people like that. It's you don't even really see that too much in American sports, and we're pretty explicit in the U.S. Mm-hmm. So I do think on the broadcast side, for me, it probably should be a little bit cleaner. Obviously, it's players, they're emotional. It is what it is. That's not necessarily worse. The Liquid response, though, is what did you think was going to come from this response? He didn't at you. It wasn't you responding to him, and you openly responded to this man. You thought that the Twitter community was going to be like, thank you, Liquid, for standing up for us. You did great. You've done the best job imaginable. It's whoever your social media manager is clearly not from Counter-Strike. This was immediately going to be a meme from the moment you sent it. And he has since made multiple tweets joking about it, which I have no hate to him or anyone else, but it's you knew this was going to be the outcome. If you say nothing there, you are far better off than saying whatever message you sent, in my opinion.
I just think he did his job, really. I don't think he was looking for any type of response from anybody. He just felt obligated that he needed to say something there. So that's why I feel like he did it. Which also, I think I think any org should do that.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because it's that's in the middle of the maelstrom of Team Liquid announcing that they're doing a player swap, which people already are I don't say on edge, but not thrilled about. Mm-hmm. It, for better or worse, whether it's a ladder move or an upgrade, it's just the whole thing was chaos, and it was through and through.
It's typical Twitter online drama. I mean, there's nothing to appease there. There's nothing to be gained there. It is a cesspool of just chaos. A bunch of people talking all at once.
The good news is
That's the literal exact same words I was thinking of.
The best part is I don't know. Normally that is, as we spoke about earlier, when it comes to the American side, I feel like it's normally the American cesspool. I feel like this one is actually not the American cesspool. I feel like it is the degens of Europe for the most part. Now, there's some of us Americans in there, still degenning it up. Mm-hmm. But it's an interesting demographic. The next thing we have, speaking of cesspools and things that are absolutely crazy in probable to say the least. Spirit or Mouz. They both choked. There's no way around that. They both went 3-0, then both looked awful in the bracket stage. They actually, at times, both didn't look great in the 3-0s they had either. So who is this a bigger choke for? Are you more surprised by Spirit getting bounced round one, or are you more surprised by the third-place Merchants getting bounced round one?
This should be easy for everyone. Nobody here should say Mouz. It's obviously Spirit.
That's a bigger surprise. So you're saying you expected more of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Like Mouz, like sure, they're quarter or semis. That's their playground. Like, yeah, sure, they realistically should have made it to the finals as well with this bracket. But Spirit are really the ones that like you look to specifically more as like a highlight. A lot of players do. They have Donk, and like you're gonna get bounced in the quarters like that.
Yeah.
That's what I think too. Is like I think both teams were massive disappointments, but Spirit was not even close at all.
Yep.
Mouz was actually close. I mean, every game they had at least 10 rounds. It was 2-1, but like Spirit got smoked in that crazy.
Yeah, Mouz had 2 questionable matches in the stage portion.
But they
still
won.
won. Yeah, but they still won. But they had 2 sketchy ones there, and then obviously they lost the first round one. Spirit had a really sketchy one. I think it was game 2 versus Heroic in the brackets or B8. That game 2, Donk's worst map. They looked awful in that map. But then other than that, they actually looked really, really good in that section. And then they looked really bad versus Astralis. They were just getting out called. They had no movement. They looked bad. And we said it earlier today on our post-event kind of recap of like, for me, this is like I'm close to just pull the ripcord. You just change this team, get it out. Because like this is an IGL diff. Chopper was better than this at IGLing. Magix is inconsistent. Tanir is looking at times like the worst player on the team, and you're looking at him to be an opener to try to alleviate some of the pressure from Donk. And I think that it's a lot of credit goes to XANTARES because it looks like he's kind of went back to where he was before, which not a superstar, but also good enough. And then Shiro, we know when he's on his own, but like, dude, versus Astralis, like Fizzy was 3-10 on Donk and openers. Like he was just assaulting him. Yeah. Tanir was 0-7, and that's supposed to be the guy that's helping Donk move around. And it's like, this just isn't good. You're getting smoked. Shiro's getting beat up by Fizzy. It's like the whole thing just looks bad, feels bad, smells bad. You're getting out called. You don't have plays. Like, dude, this is bad.
And the thing too that I think about with why I think Spirit was a little bit more disappointing for me is like Mouz, even though they did get knocked first round, it's still the same old Mouz that we always see. Like Sphinx or Jerson, one of them pops off.
Yep.
Jim Fat plays decently well. Brolin's usually costing, but he maybe calls a few good plays, and Torzi's just like hit or miss too. But with Spirit, it was like the opposite of what we normally see. We normally see the Donk and Shiro show, but both those players were just neutralized in this game especially. And so that's why, for me, it was just more like this team just looks like a shell of the team that I even thought that they were. So it's like that's why a little bit more disappointing for me was towards Spirit.
Yeah, it's terrible. No, I mean, like, for me, it's like we all, at the beginning of the year, were, like, curious about this Spirit squad. Like, what are they going to offer? Like, getting rid of Chopper, bringing back Magix, and putting him in the IGL role. What can this possibly do? I mean, I think now, if you want to say that Spirit was, like, this close to Vitality before, they're, like, all the way back here now. I mean, it's not even close. Like, this Spirit looks absolutely terrible, and maybe it's just a one-off bad thing. I mean, like, Donk had, I think over the whole series was like a 0.89 in the Astralis series.
Which is insane.
I don't think I've ever seen that before in his career. So, like, I mean, it was just a show of pure dominance from Astralis, and maybe Spirit's not all that bad. Maybe Astralis were just playing out of their mind, but yeah, I mean, Spirit deservingly doesn't look like a top 5 team right now, and I mean, the major is not looking too bright for them.
To me, the scary thing is when you did your little analogy of how far away they were from Vitality. I don't know that Spirit got any further from second place in this event, but I feel like second place got so much further from Vitality. Because I feel like there's still, like, Furia didn't even make the bracket. Mouz also got first round bounce. Falcons, we've seen miss brackets. We've seen Paravision didn't even make it out of stage 1. Mm-hmm. So it's like, who can you say is second place and getting closer to Vitality? I don't think anyone. That's not to defend Spirit in this. I think you're right. Spirit are way further from Vitality. But to me, the biggest scary that we see here is you hear this analogy a lot. You hear it in all these like weird motivational speakers on YouTube all the time preach this nonsense of like, you are the 5 people you spend the time with the most. Donk is getting worse. This is no longer undisputed best player in the world, everybody should be afraid in the server. If we get to see more of this donk, people will not fear him anymore. You will have the same simple effect. You will become like, that guy used to be the greatest. That guy used to be mental. That guy used to be scary. It's like XANTARES. How afraid can you be about XANTARES when in the final he drops the ball? Donk is well on the way to that. And the rest of when I look at that Aurora squad, the 4 guys around XANTARES in that Aurora squad are far better than the 4 guys around Donk on this Spirit squad. So if you're Spirit right now, you got to reload, recalibrate, and figure it out quick. Or if I'm Donk, I'm looking for the door and looking for the door quick. Because if he's around a player like Monacy and Nico, those guys can pick him up. He's not getting picked up by Tanir. He's not getting picked up by Magix. And Shiro's letting him down in these scenarios. And you put a lot of pressure over Shiro the past couple of years, so it's not all his fault. But it's like, this doesn't look good. There's 3 players in question. I think XANTARES is good enough for this team to be good with him. But Magix and Tanir, they don't belong in this caliber. They're not 2 players who are going to help you get closer to vitality. That's for sure.
Yeah, especially not. I think Magix, if you put him, he can be on a competitive roster, but I don't think he's ready to IGL, and I think we've seen that through the first few events of the year. So,
not for sure. So the next thing we want to hop into is rest in peace, Furia, Paravision, Faze, TL. We could add more to this list, but of these, who do you think? I mean, we know Faze is cooked. Yeah. We know TL is cooked. But are we willing to put Paravision and Furia in the same caliber? Because Paravision couldn't even make it to stage 2. And Furia couldn't even make it to the bracket. Fallen wasn't going to be there, but, 4D chess, you can't be there when you don't even make it. So,
yeah. I'm not willing to put them in the bracket with TL and Faze yet, because that's a pretty low bracket at the current point where we're at. But I do think this is a massive drop for both Paravision and Furia. I mean, regardless if Fallen wasn't going to be there or not, they should be making it to the bracket, I think. And then Paravision as well. They should be making it out of stage 1, no question, with the teams that were there. So both teams, I think, upsetting, but not to the level of Faze and TL.
Yeah, I mean, Faze, same thing, really. Faze and TL definitely in their own little ball game down there at the bottom compared to, like, Paravision and Furia. Paravision, like we said, they played a lot. They've been constantly playing. So, like, we can give them that benefit of the doubt for this one. Like, yeah, they were tired. They've been doing a lot, so they kind of fell off a little bit. But, we'll see in the next one here if that is actually the case. But, yeah, Furia, I mean, this is a team that, like, just 6 months ago we're praising and, like, we're putting, once again, bringing it up because it bothers me to this day. Maladoy is number 6, okay?
It doesn't look like it right now.
But, like, he is, unfortunately, right now is a big crutch of this team.
Sure.
Like, if he's not on, Furia are struggling. I mean, K Serato's dropping, like, good numbers, but, like, it's not enough. Fallen has to make those plays. You can't rely on that. It's like you got to have that swing factor with Maladoy, and he hasn't been showing up, unfortunately. And I'm sure when he gets it together and he actually is on, it's the Furia that we know. They're going to be there.
Yeah,
like,
that to me is the scary
rides on him.
That to me is the scary part because, like, the Paravision thing, I'm going to give them a big pass just because I think they were running a gauntlet. I think they were a little bit tired. Maybe that's an excuse. Maybe that's malarkey or whatever. But, like, I'm still in the camp of, like, they probably deserve a little bit of a pass. But this Furia squad, there's no chance. Like, you have your full roster. You're in full swing. The worst part is they should have lost to Heroic in the 0-2 match. The only reason they didn't is Yuri popped off. He went like 18-7 or some nonsense. Like, he absolutely popped off and carried that team. Otherwise, you get 0-3'd with your roster. You get 0-3'd to not great teams. And it's like, it is very scary when it looks like that team they were pushing vitality to the limits. They were pushing everyone to the limits. And it just felt like maybe they are a vibe squad of, like, when they got hot and everything was working. And then now nothing's working. You can't put it back together. And you start thinking about, hey, a year ago we were talking about Fallen's about to retire. And then now here we are a year later, and it's like, oh, well, if they keep winning, you won't retire. And it's like, well, they ain't winning.
Yeah.
And if you're Fallen, how much more time you want to spend away from your family? How much more time do you want to spend in Europe doing this? Like, those things probably begin to creep quick. And one piece out of that puzzle, if you remove a Maladoy, if you remove a K Serato, you remove a Fallen, I don't think any of us have faith in this team.
Yeah.
And it's mostly because they play well together, but they're not right now. And if they can't gel back quick, like, I mean, I think the gap between 2 and 20 is as slight as that's ever been, but I also think the gap from 2 to 1 is massive, and this is part of the reason.
I also think this is going to be a really big event for them. Like, I do think that there is a reality where they looked at, okay, Fallen's not going to be at the playoffs for the ESL event. Maybe we just kind of take it back a little bit, tone it back, and prepare for Rotterdam when we have, like, everybody for the full entire event. But I do still think the competitive nature in them, they definitely wanted to win those matches, no question. So either way, it was a disappointment. But I think this event will tell a lot. Like, if they drop the ball again at Rotterdam, I think that's when we start to, like, really look at, like, what's going on with this team.
No, 100%. I agree. Some of the teams that beat them, though, there's a lot of new age talent out there. We want to hop and talk about the new. Is this a new group here to stay? You know, we mentioned some up here on the screen. We got Foot, Astralis, Legacy, 3D Max, and the likes. Like, do we think this is going to be the new gen of Counter-Strike? Do we think these teams are going to get to stay together? We think they're about to get parted out to G2, Falcons, and the others? Or, you know, who do we got the most faith in here?
I think Astralis is here to stay. And I also think Foot, I have a lot of confidence in them right now, but I think they could possibly get poached away once the players kind of solidify themselves as better talent if they continue to do that. Just because I don't know a whole lot about their organization. Like, I don't know if they can compete with the likes of like Vitality, NAVI, these other big dog teams that are going to need really good players as they continue to, you know, need roster moves. So I think that could be one team that maybe gets poached. I think Legacy stays together. It's really nice to see them back to, you know, kind of like their form as they were on last year for a period of time when they won that event. So cool to see them. They completely turned their season around, in my opinion, at this event. And then 3D Max, they've also made a good move, it seems like. So good to see them back on the uptick. But I think it's still early for them. We're not really sure what they got yet.
Pat, you buying all this new kid nonsense, or are you?
No, not really. I mean, I do think Foot and Astralis definitely are like the best two out of that batch, and they showed it with this tournament. But the problem with a lot of these teams, and like mainly like Legacy, if we look at them, it's like, you know, they had that little bit of a run last year. They won that tournament. They were the ones that brought Vitality's streak to an end.
Yep.
But then as the year went on, also they dropped 0-3 out of stages and looked absolutely terrible. The same with like Lin Vision, who also had like that similar little mini run, and then they kind of fell off the face of the earth. It's like, I don't want that to happen with them.
Sure.
Of course, I want them to be on the up and up, but it always just comes down to like the specific tournaments. Like this one, it's like, it's not even the fact that Vitality or Falcons weren't there. It's just like you get on a streaker, you continue that streaker. It's just the next tournament comes in, if they don't come out swinging, it's like it all just falls apart. And hopefully we don't see that from the likes of Foot or Astralis, because sure, I would like to see some other teams in the brackets besides just the same old 6, 7, 8 teams. Like, you know, have Foot in there, have Astralis in there, maybe a Legacy.
Sure.
The thing that I think is different about those two too, as well, compared to, or that's different about Foot and Astralis compared to Legacy and 3D Max, is like they've kind of both been on an uptick pretty consistently, so that gives me a little bit more confidence in them. The 3D Max and Legacy thing, it's like Legacy didn't make a switch. They just kind of out of nowhere were going down tick. You said got bounced 3-0 at the, or 0-3 at the Budapest Major, and then out of nowhere they're just like back from ESL. Yeah. Kind of the same way with 3D Max. They make random roster switching one dude, and now they're like back on the uptick. So that's kind of like wishy-washy in my opinion. But Astralis and Foot, I'm pretty confident in them. I mean, they've been consistently getting better and better, so hopefully they can get it up there.
I think Astralis with the international roster, like that helps them a lot. They're also much more of a professional organization. You're going to travel to any arena in the country, and there's going to be people in Astralis jerseys. So that obviously helps kind of keep them around and alive, and it's also going to be easier for them to sell sponsorships and to keep the org afloat. I know they're about to be on the fringe of getting sold and parted out and all that bad stuff last year, but stuff like this really, really helps and goes a long way to that. I think Foot is a team that plays really well together. I don't necessarily, and this isn't a shade at any of the players, but they play like a team. They don't have any like crazy standouts. But when I look at Legacy, you look at Dumal, you look at Nissim, you look at MPL and those guys, it's like those players are really good. And it wouldn't be surprising to me if another group were to take a stab at some of those players. So I feel like Legacy is probably the most vulnerable one to get poached because, like, dude, if you're Dumal and you're hard carrying this team and it's good enough to get you the first round, but then G2 calls and says, hey, we want to run for majors, not for tier 2 events. Like, you're going to go.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to for sure be the choice. I think that the next best talents, though, for sure is on Astralis. Like, I think Vizzy and Stare are looking incredible right now. They're looking like both of those guys should be in the top 20 players, which they would be deserving of right now. But can they make that last for the next 10 months? Because season's long, the year's long. We've seen it for the past 60 to 90 days. Not just this event, but the previous, but you got a lot more to go.
I think the thing with Legacy, too, is the fact I would feel differently if they were on, like, Furia, the, like, giant of Brazilian Counter-Strike, or even Pain, who I would argue is probably, like, your second-tier team. And then Legacy, I think, would be your third, even though Legacy has been better than Pain for, like, the last 12 months, I would say. But I think that gives them a little bit more they're a little bit more susceptible to getting poached to a bigger team.
Not for sure. So, Pat, this next segment is basically your segment.
Really?
So I would just like for you to just kick it off. You just go ahead and ask the question. I think you actually reported it to the police yourself.
Oh, did I?
I think you did.
Oh, yeah, it's calling in. Oh, old XANTARES, huh? Yeah, you know, I think I was just making fun of him about, like, he always gets put in the top 20, but, like, where's he at? And
I don't know.
I don't know. Where was he? He was supposed to be on the finals grandstand stage. He was supposed to be in his seat, and it was empty. I mean, I think he dropped. Oh, it was terrible.
I think they put me or you in there for a little bit.
Yeah, it was bad. And what's funny is, like, if XANTARES was popping that game, I mean, I think it goes a different way. I think it's 100%. Easily it could be an Aurora championship right here for them. But instead, he's just on the sidelines. I don't know what he's doing. Like, I mean, Madger, who we've criticized in the past,
looked great.
Was dominating. Like, had some pretty good performances for an IGL, and here's XANTARES at the bottom, like, just asking for help, and it's just nowhere to be found.
It's crazy because Watsik looked so good the whole event. Like, even into the final, you had Wonderful, who was popping off of the op. Watsik was still very competitive. Like, still looked really good. The last 2 maps, our boy XANTARES got 4 kills and 8 kills. And this is crazy. We always joke about how Mouz is effectively the Walmart brand of Vitality. We've always joked that Aurora is the Walmart brand of Spirit. The thing, though, is XANTARES, Donk didn't show up. XANTARES didn't show up even less. Mm-hmm. But the good news is at least the supporting cast look really good on that team. And it actually gives me a lot of optimism for this team moving forward. If they can find a way to play and be successful in spite of him in this case, then when he is online, they might actually be capable of being a part of that, second wave of teams well off in the distance behind Vitality.
I think the biggest thing for me is, like, and it's talked about a ton. It was talked about on the broadcast quite a bit actually as well before the grand final. Is just like XANTARES. I think he's such a tilting player, and he gets so much in his head that's why he folds so much in these, like, big moments and when it matters. Because, like, in stage 2, he actually played really well. He had multiple games where he carried, but when you get to the elimination games where the stakes are a lot higher, it's like he just crumbles. And I think it's all just a mind thing for him. He just, when something bad happens, he just kind of spirals out of control. And I think his team was actually really able to cope with that well this week. When normally, I'm not going to say normally, but a lot of the time they don't cope with that well, and you see the whole team crumble. I think they were a lot more serious about this event, saying, like, no, we can actually win this one. Like, Vitality's not here, Falcons isn't here. We're playing really well. We can win this. And I think they did a good job, but XANTARES just wasn't able to overcome it.
So, Pat, I got to ask you, with XANTARES performing the way that he did, but the rest of the team performing well, does this make you more optimistic moving forward or more pessimistic moving forward?
I mean, I guess you can say it's optimistic, sure. I think they curved a lot of their, like, woes they had before for being in the bracket play. Like, we saw in the last one they were heavy in the stages and looking good, and then they get to the brackets and then they just crumble. As where this one, it was more of like the stages were looking good. It wasn't perfect by no means, but it was good. And then they go into the brackets and they actually excel. And that's what you need from them. That was always their weak suit. So, but, like, I mean, this is Aurora we're talking about. We all know I haven't been the biggest fan. I do think they're capable of getting in these brackets. They were definitely capable of winning this tournament. It just fell short for them. But, I mean, I think that's best case scenario for them. It's like these are the ones that you really want to nab, just like they did last year.
I think optimistically, though, if they get more reps in these moments and can make it through more of these moments, because for this, that team has to be looking at themselves right now thinking that, hey, if our superstar plays like a superstar, this is probably an easy win. Imagine what happens when we do that versus good teams. We're probably fine. If we play like this and he plays like he should, we're good. You just need those 2 things to happen. We may never see XANTARES play this bad again. We also may never see the rest of his team play this good again. So you just got to hope for the best in those scenarios. But still, it ended up being an entertaining final.
I also think the one thing I wanted to comment on what Pat said about the difference between the 2 brackets. I think the the main difference between those 2 brackets is the fact that they were playing Vitality in the last bracket. So, like, no wonder they got first round bounce.
100%.
Hey, sure, but, that's a beast you're going to have to conquer eventually.
That is true.
And maybe this is the lead up to that. They didn't have to deal with that beast. They get the practice in. They get all that out. They almost win. Maybe that's the confidence booster they needed to finally get over some of those hurdles and take that step forward.
Speaking of, there was a team that after the finals, they were asked, or they actually took the mic out of the hand of the host and said, no Vitality, no problem, easy win. That's NAVI. This is their event. Are we impressed by this NAVI team, or is it just they're the best of the rest and they got a lucky bracket and it is what it is, GG next?
I'm impressed with them, and that might be the case still. It might be like, oh, they're the best of the rest, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is they haven't been the best of these teams in a while. Like, I mean, Yeah, we all know Navi, and this team especially, like 4 of these 5 members have been major champions. Like, we know that they have the talent to do it, but for the last 12 months, haven't been able to do it at all against low-level teams. So I'm proud of them regardless. I think they had an amazing event. I think all of them leveled up. They had a very shaky stage 2 at times, but got through, advanced to the bracket, and then went on a big run. Every one of their players stepped up at different moments, and that's what you need if you're going to win a championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 18 months or greater since this team won an event. The last time they won an event, an S-tier event, was 2024. They were the team of the year in 2024. That is the last time they have won until now an S-tier event. They did win that Mickey Mouse event last year, actual tier 2 Mickey Mouse event.
Yeah.
For me, the most impressive piece is that, like, Wonderful, who I've made a lot of fun of, picked at a whole lot, showed up, showed out, silenced the haters, did what he needed to do. Vid and Eam, we've always seen these players are more than capable. We also know Alexi B is well more than capable. Makaze is the biggest question mark you have, and he's looking like he should have been Rookie of the Year last year, and he's looking like he's one of the best young players we got in the game right now. And I think this team could be scared. I think they might need a little bit more time. They're still trying to move forward and get it done, but they look good. I mean, they look scary, and, you know, moving forward, I think this has got to be a contender. Again, I don't know that they're the second best team in the world, but in this massive pool of slot between second and probably 15th, they're definitely on the top side of it for me.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be positive here. I mean, like, you know, Navi did struggle. They struggled last year. They did have a nice run at the last major in Budapest there. You know, unfortunately, they failed a phase, which is, you know, given what we talk about, seems kind of catastrophic.
Yeah.
But no, they looked really well here. I mean, you can say some of the bigger teams fumbled, and that helped them out a little bit, but that doesn't discredit Wonderful's plays that he did, the amount of kills they dropped. Makaze, who's still pulling what Maladoy can't and actually staying consistent. Sorry, got to throw the shade. And then, obviously, yeah, you have the other top 220 players and Alexi B on the team. So it's a team that, on paper, just as we say about many teams, should theoretically be doing good. And if they can keep up this tempo, if they can play like that at every tournament, yeah, I mean, I think they can get that spot easy into the top 5 of what we're looking at, with Furia looking shaky, Mouz falling out, Spirit being questionable. I mean, it's theirs for the taking to be able to get possibly into the 4th to 3rd maybe position.
It is crazy to me when the way you said that, just kind of like put the puzzle pieces together in the sense of, you know, we talk a lot about all the other teams outside of Vitality and what they are capable of, and we almost never see what they are capable of. With Navi, we actually at times get to see what they're capable of. Like, they're not a bad team. Sometimes they put it together, and they're able to win events. This is an event that, like, if you think they're as good as they are, this should be a winnable event. Now, do you think they maybe should have played Mouz or Spirit along the way? Maybe. But can't blame them. They didn't choose a bracket. They didn't tell those teams to lose. So, I mean, they beat everybody they could beat, and, you know, they moved on, got the trophy, and write their name in the history books. We almost got an Astralis Navi final in 2026. That is
insane to think
That's
about.
Beautiful.
Especially based off of like last year and like how we saw those teams, but especially before they added Makaze. Like, I mean, Navi was in a bad spot. They couldn't do anything, couldn't make brackets at all. Added Makaze, they won their little Star Ladder Tier 2 event, and then we saw them get a little bit better, and then we saw them kind of fall off a little bit again, and now they're back. They win their first Tier 1 event in a long time, like you said, since 2024. I think it's a big confidence boost to the team, and I think that's what the team needed most. Like we have mentioned multiple times in the last few minutes, they're a talented team. There's no question about it. They can compete with the best of the best when they're on it. And I think this event's going to really do them wonders as far as getting their confidence back as a squad.
Not for sure. Except, you guys got any shout-outs from the ESL Season 23 that you want to shout out? Any other players, teams, anything else you want to call out?
Shout out Furia.
I mean, if we want to be like evil people, like, sure, we can shout out Furia for dropping the ball, for Spirit for dropping the ball. Basically, all the
G2.
big dogs for dropping the ball. G2, yeah, not even making the bracket.
How didn't they do?
Which is insane. Do what?
How didn't they do?
I don't know.
We'll see a new G2 the next event.
Hey, Liquid's in it now, so.
It's upgrade now, right? You know, G2 got nerds, right? Like, I don't know. It was a bad dark horse pick by me, but I mean, this one pretty much is just a shout out to all the Tier 2 teams and stuff for having their good runs and making it through. Like, I mean, that's what this tournament was. I mean, the big dogs fell, and it made room for them. I mean, sure, Navi still came through in the end, which, you know, we still consider up there in the top dogs, but we saw great performances from Foot, you know, all of those guys.
I think for me, I think Foot, Legacy, and 3D Max. I think the thing they've consistently shown is I think they're the real deal, and they're kind of here to stay. They're here to stay in that top 12 window. You obviously only have 8 teams that make it to bracket stage normally. And so those are going to be kind of hard pushing moments for those guys. But I think we're going to see more of them. Same with Astralis is up there too. I do want to note, you talked about your bad dark horse predictions. I'm saying both my dark horses made it to the final. Now, obviously, the team that I picked got first round bounce and looked like hot garbage. But the dark horses, they didn't let me down.
Yeah, good choices.
I think Legacy's a good shout out too. I was literally ready to write them off and think that they're just going to fall off the face of the earth and not be like major contenders or anything. But they showed up this weekend.
100%. 100%. So the next thing we're going to have is Rotterdam coming up. Big boys are back, at least some of them. Some are not there, some are going to be there. But for the most part, big boys are back. What are we thinking? Any highlights, expectations? Are we just excited to see Vitality back in the server or what?
I'm excited to see this new American Liquid. They're on the side of the Vitality bracket, so I doubt that they
get Spirit first round, yeah?
Let's see, I got it right here. Yeah, I do. Spirit first round. That's a winnable match.
And right now, it looks winnable, which is, I'm not sure who that's worse for.
JL versus Donk Show. Clicking heads.
Oof. It's going to be a wild one. For me, I'm excited to see the Falcons and Vitality come back. The rumor is currently that Kyosuke might not have his visa secured, which honestly for Falcons, that might be a buff. That has not hurt in the past.
100%.
But I just hope we get to see the good teams in good form. I think at some point in this year, we are going to get to see 2 3-0 teams in a final. Maybe this is the event. Maybe we actually get to see 2 top dogs play each other in a final.
I doubt it though.
It's not feeling like it.
No, the reason I doubt it is because what you said earlier with it just feels like there's such a separation between 1 and then 2 through 15 to where like 2 through 15 is pretty close actually. So even though you're the second 3-0 team, this guy that just barely made it at 3-2, they're really just as good as you. They just had a little bit harder of a Swiss stage.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, obviously, I'm excited to have Vitality back.
In the finals, just go and give us the trophy.
Just go ahead and get another win and another MVP for my boy Zywoo. But, Vitality always fun to watch. The Falcons will be back. That's always fun. I mean, if they do have the visa issues, that's kind of unlucky. I would like to have their full squad back and playing to see them.
Beat them at full strength.
Yeah, we know they got that one fluke win on us. Okay, we're gonna have to let that one go. All right?
With you probably want to
let that go.
Hey, I'm just saying, Nucleon's on that Falcon squad. They're undefeated versus Vitality. Maybe that's the kryptonite.
Maybe, but also it's just because like when teams step away, it's always curious to see the form they're going to come back into.
It's like
We've
Spirit takes a break.
They boot camp and do worse. But it's also like Vitality. We've seen from last year they go through a slump. Maybe this break could create that. Zywoo talked about almost dropping out because of, all the commitments and stuff. So it's like this break, maybe there was not a lot of CS played. It was a vacation. I mean, I think I seen Apex posting something like he was out exploring the world. So it's like, they might come back and be rusty and they just get slapped.
I think the whole world hopes for that.
I'm sure they do.
I just don't see it happening, sadly.
I mean, probably not. I mean, even their worst is pretty good.
So right now, way too early predictions. Who we got in the finals?
I don't know how the brackets are going to pan out, but obviously it's going to be Vitality.
Okay.
It's going to be in there. And, I mean, I would like, just for mine and Davis's sake, for it to somehow be Vitality Falcons.
That would be sick.
Because we don't need Vitality Spirit because that'd be too easy.
I don't know. I'm sitting here looking at the things. The biggest thing is I just don't know how these brackets are going to shake out, to be honest, because it's actually interesting. You have Aurora, Navi, and Falcons and Furia all on the same side. And on the other side, you have Spirit. Like, whenever I looked at this last week, I actually thought that Vitality had the more gauntlet side.
The other side's going to be fun.
But now that I look at it, it's Vitality, Mouz, Spirit, Paravision are your 4 best teams on one side. Vitality smacking all those teams with no problem at all. So
maybe if they're rusty, maybe they get rocked.
Yeah, maybe so. But I'm going to go with a finals of Vitality and I'm going to go Navi. I'm going to say they run it back.
Navi. I'm just going to say no Vitality in the finals. That's all I want.
So you're banking on them being rusty after their break. Okay.
If I could take 100%. If I could take normally, I actually think this is a harder bet for me. If you had to take Vitality to the field right now, I think Vitality is a safer bet than the field. But I take the field in this one.
There you go.
We'll see what happens. So Pat, over the weekend, you made a glorious discovery watching this event. You had an epiphany. You were enlightened. Changed your whole perspective.
I was not enlightened.
So what did you come?
I was not enlightening. It's my thing here is it's just a question. It's a question for you guys. It's a question for the audience at home. It's
about your enlightenment.
No, it has nothing to do with like this title is wrong. This is not what I said. Okay, the bottom is more what I was saying. It's a question. Like, I'm just asking, like, is it better when we don't have all the big dogs in here? Is CS better when we have more of the smaller dogs like Vitality Falcons taking a break and Furia not performing?
Just rip us your POV
why don't you
first.
set the stage?
You set the stage. You
No.
us.
That's not how it goes. Like, I'm the teacher here. I'm asking the question: which do you think is better? Do you prefer to see the winners win, the top tier Counter-Strike played, or do you prefer like when things get messy, so to say, and we have like the underdogs coming through, we have the bigger teams falling short, and it creates like this Navi Aurora finals right here, right?
I like this better personally. I think it's something that's different. I think it's special. I think it revitalizes a lot of teams, revitalizes a lot of fan groups. And I think when it's Vitality winning every single week, things get stale and people lose interest.
Yeah. I think for the casual viewer, this is the best thing that could ever happen. I think for more of the analysts / industry folk like us, I think this is like probably not as enjoyable because like you want to see Mouz versus Spirit. Like you want to see that final. You want to see those two teams figure out themselves in the pecking order. If you're a little bit more of like a casual fan though, you want to see chaos. You want to see good games. You want to see close matchups. And we got a lot of that. I mean, Spirit versus B8 was a crazy close matchup. We got to see Mouz in 2 crazy close matchups in their 3-0 run. And then the third place match between, we didn't even talk about this earlier, the third place match between Foot and Astralis was an absolute banger.
And that was the third time they played that was a banger. They literally played in
100%.
each stage, and each one went to the maximum maps and was a banger.
And then we saw, who is it that Astralis, or they only lost to Astralis on the way through. It was also Foot, yeah? Or they lost to Aurora. It was Aurora or Astralis. And it's like they literally only lost to them. And both of those games were absolute bangers. Crazy OTs, crazy deep runs. And like that from a casual viewer, that is probably the best Counter-Strike you're going to get to watch. Watching Vitality 13 win a team is not a good time. It's not enjoyable to watch. But if Vitality's the best team in the world, you kind of want them 13 win them. You kind of want them to break the record. You kind of want them to look that good. So it's tough. For me as a person who's like, obviously reasonably connected in the industry, it's like, I would rather see things go more to plan, but I think for the casual fans, for the growth of the game, for everything else, I think chaos is much better.
Yeah, I mean, for me to answer my own question, I mean, I think chaos is definitely more enjoyable. It's like going back to Rome and watching the gladiators duel it out in the bloody duel. Like, it's fascinating, it's exciting. We're throwing cabbage down at the gladiators, right? But obviously, what's more enjoyable to me is seeing the top teams do top team things. And that's not necessarily just Vitality. That's Falcons, that's Spirit, that's Mouz, that's any team that could be. That's not B, right? It's not just like, just a certain team. It's like, I like the Counter-Strike. I love the chaos. But I also like it when we have the top teams doing what they're supposed to do. It is always fun when they fall. I love making fun of Furia. Like, I love
and
like
Spirit,
they're dropping down.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I get it. It's fun to do. It's fun. But like realistically, it's like I want to see the best of the best compete. And like to do that, they need to be there and they need to not suck. And if that is a Foot, if that is an Astralis, if that is an NAVI now, that's totally fine and cool. It's just like that's what I want to see. And those games can be close and they can be bangers also. Yep. I don't enjoy the gap. Like, I don't think it's cool having Vitality 10 yards away, but it's like, if they deserve that, they deserve that. Sure. I can't discredit them for that, but like,
I think to me, it's kind of like when we talk about the gladiatorial games, right? Like when it's David versus a Goliath, we all pull for David. And it's weird when Astralis wins, we kind of feel bad for Spirit. It's like, dog, we wanted David to win. We wanted Goliath to fall. And it's also like, to me, it's cool from like the history of the game POV in the sense of like, if you would have told me in 2019, hey, 7 years from now, there's going to be a prodigy, the greatest player the game's ever seen. He's been a rifler that's better than every opera we've ever seen in this game. He's undeniably the best player that has ever graced Counter-Strike. And Astralis is going to upset him in an event. I'm going to be like, how is Astralis going to upset him? This is the best team we've ever seen in the history of the world. Mm-hmm. And you're saying one guy losing to them is impressive? That's crazy, but that's where we are in 7 short years, right? Astralis last year was on the brink of sale, and now they're dethroning Donk and making cool runs again. And it's like, those moments are really cool from like a narrative and a story POV. But, I mean, people want to see Donk in the finals. They want to see a little bulk up man slay him out. That's what they want to see. So, it's tough.
It's a tough one. Just food for thought, everybody. Food for thought. We're all different. All answers are welcome.
Nah, some that aren't. So the next one that I have is going to be, we could just loosely name this teams are dumb. And the reason is because JL looked great, looked absolutely great. There's also this guy named Dexter who won an MVP and is still not on a team. There is so much talent that is sitting out there that is currently not being utilized. And we are moving around. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad that new players get an opportunity to move in this game, and I'm glad we are taking chances on new people. But we're also wasting roster spots on people that should not have them. There's a point in time in your career when you probably should move on past that Tier 1 scene. There's totally a value of experience. But watching JL play Tier 2 teams made me look at that 100 Thieves and that BC game roster and for sure look at them and basically be like, yeah, no one here deserves to be T1. Not over JL. No chance over JL. Yeah. JL should be on a top 8 team right now competing for majors. For sure. Yeah. I think that under the right light, if you squint your head and you tilt it a little bit, I think Simple maybe should be in that situation. Nobody on 100 Thieves should be in that situation. Nobody else on BC Games should be in that situation. JL, for sure, is the only player on Liquid that should be in that situation. Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy to me that there are players like JL, there are players like Dexter and all these other guys that are literally sitting on the sidelines doing nothing. Collecting a check most likely for an organization. They don't want to move them because maybe they're scared. But like if you're Navi, you just want an event. Makaze is your future. I don't know if he'll ever be better than JL, but he might last longer. He's obviously much younger. So it's worth the opportunity. JL needs to be somewhere competing. He kind of cryptically said, like, you'll find out more this summer, blah, 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 I'll be on, playing again more. But it's crazy to me that teams are this dumb. I just can't think of a good reason why. Part of this is just a little bit of an event. But I just want to get y'all's thoughts on, like, there's so much talent out there. Like, do you just think people are wasting away, or do you think that I'm just overselling the talent?
Well, I want to say, first off, I think JL looked incredible. And I think 100% he showed that he deserves to be on a Tier 1 team. I mean, this was a display of just raw skill. He just joined the team. He probably played like a handful of scrims with them before he went to their first event, and he was tearing everybody's head off. So I think he showed that he clearly deserves to be on it, and he can be implemented fast into a team just based off of his skill alone. Once you start building a system and a project around him, I think he'll flourish even more as he did on NAVI. To answer the other part of the question with the other talents that are just kind of sitting around, I wonder if it's more of a contract negotiations thing. Sure. Like, I wonder if it's something that, like, orgs don't feel cool. Like, Dexter's a fairly established player, so I don't know if, like, some of these other, like, lower tier teams that kind of need new talent, if they feel comfortable paying the wages that he wants to receive, and that I'm sure his agent's going to be asking for if he signs a new contract. So I think that's one thing that maybe scares some teams away from trying to go for these guys that, were on a big team, probably did have a nice contract, and they're not willing to give it up to go down to a lower level team. So I wonder if that's kind of like something that prevents them from joining other teams. But I mean, and then I look again though at a player like Brokey, for example, on Faze. Like, there's no question. I think Dexter could play just as good, if not better, than Brokey on that team. 100%. So it's just kind of weird. But I do think that that's something that has merit in that.
And maybe JL, he just might be a little bit better than Jacob, maybe.
Yeah,
possibly.
Mm-hmm. Possibly, but yeah, it's not the role. I think we have to be aware of also honeymoon phases.
Sure.
Okay, this is a real, it's a scientific thing. Okay,
scientific.
This is true.
We got a science pad over here.
Just like we know, when you get sway, you get the golden egg. You win the next event. That's 100% track record.
Yeah, I'm signing them right now.
So
bro.
like,
before
so
the major,
right now that's fact, right? And that's no disrespect to JL, but it's just like honeymoon phases and stuff we just have to be wary of. I mean, and I think a lot of this goes to stuff that we're just not privy to. It's that behind-the-scenes knowledge. Sure. Like, and I'm not saying it's necessarily the player's fault, but I mean, it could be they're harder to deal with. Maybe they've had history of not getting along with management or not getting along with other players that kind of make it that tough thing. Because I think a lot of what makes a team great is obviously not just the individual firepower, but it's about how you get along as a team.
Sure.
And like how you're vibing and doing well together. Like, if you all trust one another, you all believe in what you're doing, you're all behind your IGL and your coaches, like, you can achieve that greatness even if you aren't the greatest player, right? I mean, it's just the merits of that. So if JL is like on board with that, like he's on board with all those things, yeah, I think he would be a great pickup for some teams. But like, I don't think his place on NAVI is there anymore. So like, I mean, you just gotta move on from there. But like,
G2,
yeah, sure.
Come on, there's lots of good
G2,
spots.
sure, be a good one. I mean, I don't know if he would. Spirit's more of a joke guess. I mean, they're like
him
not really
and,
a fit for him.
Dude, him and Donk over to Faze to start anew, can the rest of them.
Why do we keep wanting Faze to be the ones that get all these good players? Like, why don't we give it? Why not Team Liquid? Why don't we give it to them?
Well, they're clearly running everybody.
Or maybe like maybe a G2.
It is crazy to me though when you look at these situations though. Like same thing's true with James Time, right? I'm certain when James left VP, I don't think he was a hot commodity. I don't think it was everybody's clamoring to get this odd IGL Opper James. But then it's like, yo, Paravision let that man cook, and dude won an event. Mm-hmm. And if you told me that that's the other team that's going to be in the final of the major in Cologne this summer, I'm not going to be surprised. I mean, if they win, I'd be a little surprised.
Yeah.
But them making it, I wouldn't be surprised. And you took an old guy, let him run a project, and sure, he has got buy-in, he's got the team behind him, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, you tell me JL does the same thing, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
You tell me JL joins G2 right now, you don't think they make a run to be the second best team of the major? I think a lot of teams right now are a JL, a Dexter, a move or two away, and a Liege away from like you can actually make a run of the major. It's just crazy these teams aren't clamoring over these guys. Like in that Launders video, he's talking about how the only reason they got a Liege is because it was basically a free trade. And it's like, if a Liege is moving for free, how is G2 not like, yo, here's money?
Yeah. The one thing that I think is interesting from both of y'all's conversation that I've heard too is just like the kind of what Pat was talking about with the putting the team interests first. I think that benefits the team more than anything. Like there's really not many teams that are capable of doing that right now. I mean, I think the three teams that I look at that technically are capable are probably Falcons because they have infinite money, Vitality because they're winning everything, and then Furia because they're also winning a lot of events. But it's slowly going away. But I think every other team really in the scene right now, instead of having the team interest first, it's a lot about survival of the fittest. And it's like trying to keep your job and solidify like, I'm the person that's not going to get dropped. And I think that's one thing that can really destroy teams. We talked about it. I don't think it was on this show. It might have been on Queued Up where we talked about it last week. But we talked about how there's one thing that can really destroy teams, and it's the relationship between players. Sure. And it's like one thing can happen. You could get in like a small argument, and that can change your entire team and the trajectory that it's on for the near future. So it's like whenever one thing really happens, that it turns the mindset from, hey, everything's going great, we're winning everything, we're on a happy road, to, oh crap, we got to figure this out because if we don't, our jobs are going to be on the line. That's when players start being very selfish and they're like not playing for the team, they're playing for themselves to make sure they have a job. And I think that's where you start to see teams fall apart. And I think we have a lot of teams that are in that category now.
I think the majority of them, I mean, there's a few players like Donk or whatever, they just want to ball to ball. Mm-hmm. But then other than that, it's like, how do you keep your job? Because it's cutthroat industry out there. Yeah. Davis, what you got? You got any cool things for us today?
Yeah, I am apologizing, actually. And I actually said it a little bit earlier, so I'm now going to double down on my apology. Legacy, I was not familiar with your game. I kind of was because you showed us last year, but I was, again, ready to write these guys off. I felt like their honeymoon phase, like you talked about, was last year, and it was over after they got bounced at the major. The start of this year was not good. But this weekend, they looked really, really, really good, and they took a lot of good teams down. So exciting to see where they go from here. I don't know. I kind of talked about it earlier. I don't know if it's one of those just random bump ups that they're going to go right back to the down tick where it's just kind of a roller coaster, but I hope they can continue to rise and maybe enter like top 10.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's I agree. I mean, I had them, I think, 0-3 in two different stages of the major last year. Mm-hmm. They betrayed me in both of them. I then believed in them at the Budapest major, and they betrayed me there. Yep. So no matter what, it feels like whatever I want from them, they do the opposite. So I guess for the sake of good luck, I wish them the worst, and hopefully they do the best. But I like to see them around. I mean, the team looks fun. They're exciting to watch. I mean, again, we talked about it earlier, but like, dude, Dumal is electric. I hope he stays on the roster and they can keep this team together. But if not, I hope he's a player that moves on and gets to play tier 1 because he looks really, really good.
Brazilian teams are always fun too. We got a lot of good fans.
Their fan bases are great. They probably don't like me too much, unfortunately. But no, I mean, Legacy's great. I love Legacy, you know. I mean, I think they're a fun team to watch. It is that fear of like the consistency of it all, which like, sure, you can say that about 100 teams, but it's like this team, they showed in this event that they are definitely capable of pushing it to the limit and even maybe making it to bracket play on a tournament that's not like a Thunder Picks. That's like an actual event with actual top dogs. And I hope that we can see that from them. I mean, you know, the rise of those teams stepping up, it's like maybe it's time to have that new series of top 10 players. Like it's out with the Faze. It's out with the Liquid, you know, bring those out. Maybe let's G2. Bring in the new one, you know. Legacy can be a part of that, sure. The new faces of Counter-Strike, right? I think that's fun and exciting, and I hope their journey continues well, and hopefully it's only up from here. But I mean, it's definitely going to be tough.
I know it's a little cheesy, but I kind of wish the logo was a crown or something like that.
Yeah,
the logo is like it's fine, but
it reminds me of something I've seen somewhere else before. Their logo. Nah, I don't know if it's like a hotel chain or if it's like it's some other business that I've seen that their emblem reminds me of.
It reminds me of there's a Saudi company. I can't think of the name of it right now.
Yeah,
it's
you
like
would know this.
Yeah, it's some type of financial company, but it reminds me of that.
They like helped fund Man City or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It is
Multiple
crazy.
soccer references.
It's crazy. The beginning of this, when Pat was like, "Yeah, the Legacy, they're good." It felt like you're like basically convincing somebody you're on trial. It's like you're trying to convince somebody you're a kid. It's like, yeah, I'm hip with the times. I also support Legacy.
Let me be nice for once. I'm not trying to be so mean and cold-hearted, okay?
That's true. You only do that in the games when you play with me, right?
No. What do you mean?
Yeah, you were
of course not. I'm trying to be positive. I do feel good about
Speaking of positive things, why don't you tell them about the lovely conversations we get to have and how they can have conversations with us, Pat?
Yes, of course. We would love to have everybody in our community Discord. Conversations are always flowing. We talk about all esports, not just Counter-Strike, but if you are watching this because you are a Counter-Strike fan, we do talk a lot about Counter-Strike. We also play Counter-Strike. We're very open to playing with all sorts of people and having a good time, whether it's competitive or not. And yeah, I mean, from League of Legends to Rocket League to Smash to Call of Duty to whatever, we got it covered, all things gaming. We'd love to have you there on the Discord, so check it out. The link will probably be in the description below. And did you find that one? What?
I didn't hear Tarkov.
Oh, Tarkov, sorry. Tarkov. It's more of a niche thing, but I'm sure there's some Counter-Strike players that love Tarkov.
I didn't know that anybody played that game. I thought it was like gone.
We don't need this man talking about it.
You
find our logo over here?
I've been looking, but I can't.
Makes sense.
I'm going to have to find it after
Probably
the show.
Ghost Company.
We'll
There's
talk about
other,
it.
yeah, it probably is a ghost company. That sounds like Man City. No, but also in the Discord, there's a lot of crazy things. Like we had a long discussion. I basically wrote an essay about Slay the Spire and indie development. So it's all over the place.
And nobody responded to him.
That's because Pat hates
Nobody.
me. Pat hates me. He just loves Marathon, and he just couldn't let me, discredit it in the slightest.
Sure. I love his no hate to Marathon statements, because anytime Dylan says no hate to something, he actually is meaning hate. He's just trying to be sweeter about it.
I think the first part is like...
Because he'd do the same to Tarkov. He'd be like, no hate to Tarkov, but yeah, the big but.
We don't need to hate on Marathon. It's going to be gone in a couple weeks.
That's true. We'll talk about it.
Let it live while it's here.
We'll have an alt-tab about Marathon's failure coming soon, yeah?
Yeah, say surely. What else? Any other highlights for the week? We excited for anything other than Rotterdam or any excitement?
No.
How do we... Well, we didn't even talk about this on the show, and I think it's, talking about RIP. I'm assuming cases are gone. I think this terminal solidified.
So too, yeah.
Cases are probably chalked.
Yeah. Back-to-back terminals, bro.
It's probably a wrap.
No new case in forever.
Hey, it's been a good run.
It was a great
12
run,
years.
a long time.
It was beautiful.
Some of the best times.
Lawsuits are building up, I guess.
They are. It do be like that, but
No more
otherwise,
skins for Pat.
we're gonna rip a few more cases for old time's sake. We're also definitely only gonna place responsible bets this week at Rotterdam. But other than that, I hope you guys had an enjoyable time on the show today. Next week, we'll hopefully have a solid 20K player, a second 20K player, and I'll at least be over 10.
10, yep.
And CJ will be back.
And CJ will be back. If not, we're gonna get a plushie just to sit right here. So we can
get a cardboard cutout to put over here behind me or something.
Yeah, we'll just hide him every time. That's going to be the idea.
Miss my boy.
Happens. Thank you guys for watching, though. We'll see you in the next one.